we go through it and everything, that would be fabulous, just so Nicole can chat and share all of her amazingness with us. And then that way at the end, like if there are time for questions or anything like that, you can unmute or you can post them in the chat throughout it, and then we can kind of go from there. But I'm so excited. So welcome to our Tuesday night Zoom. We have a very special guest speaker, which I'm stoked about. Before I jump into that, I want to just do some recognition, because we aren't even, like, we're only 6 days into the month, and we've got some girls who already have Success Club points on the board. So I wanted to give a shout out to Leah Hutchins, because she has 2 points on the board. Yay! And then Brittany Laura also has points on the board. I don't think she's on here tonight, but she'll tune into the recording. And then I have points on the board too, so shout out to me. But that's awesome to always get, like, people helped the first week of the month and really just, like, get some points on the board. So if you're just hopping on, if you wouldn't mind just muting while we go throughout the training, that would be fabulous. So if anyone, like 5 seconds, does anybody have a shout out for any of their coaches or anything they want to say?
It's my new coach Tori's first Zoom call.
Yay, Tori! That's so exciting. I'm so glad you're here.
Her face is muted.
I know, it's okay. Anything else, girls? Okay, cool. If you think of anything, you can blow it up in the chat. But I'm excited because I want to give Nicole as much time as she needs. So just like a little backstory, Nicole and I met when I was in Tulsa for Josh's event, and she was at the retreat before the event even started. So we basically got to hang out for like an entire week, which was really awesome. We had a ton of fun, and it was just really cool to get to know you, Nicole, because I feel like you're so fun, like, as a person, but I also feel like you're such an amazing leader in your business, and your team is just, like, doing amazing things. So it's cool that you're here, like, sharing with us. So a little bit more, like, about her business. She leads a 5-star team. She's a Success Club legend, which if that doesn't show consistency, I don't know what is. Like, that is so awesome to have that title and to know that you've helped that many people. That's just really cool. Before she started coaching, she was a band director, and now she does this full time so that she gets to be present with her family. She has 2 sons. One of them is 6 and one of them is 3. And she's been married for 14 years, which is awesome. And she actually lives in Tulsa too. So she lives there, which is exciting. I love Tulsa. And so for anyone who's going to go to Josh's event next year, maybe you'll get to meet Nicole, which would be fun. So anyways, I'm going to shut up so that you have all the time you need, girl. So take it away if you're ready.
Okay, well, no pressure for the coach. This is your first call. I apologize in advance if this is not what you were expecting. Thanks, girl. Yeah, so I have been a coach for 5 years, and my team's name is Team Genuine, and I'm really all about sharing ourselves and our stories and looking long-term. And this team call that I'm going to give you tonight, this training tonight, I hope that you leave in the next 30 minutes. Can you guys hear me? I'm wearing my earbuds. So you good? Someone nod? Okay. My prayer and my hope is that at the end of this 30 minutes that you leave with a newfound belief in your gut that you can do what I do, and that you can do what Crystal does, and you can do all of the things and the scary things that we've asked you to do or jump in or being overwhelmed with, because you've already learned how to do it once, even though it's not coaching. So before I start, I'm going to show you the name of this book. Don't necessarily go buy it, but I do need to give credit where credit is due. The name of the book is called Clip In. It's by Jim Osier, and it has nothing to do with personal development, has nothing to do with coaching. It's actually risking hospitality in your church. So my husband is a youth pastor and my mother is a pastor, and we were reading this like, I don't know, a year ago. And all of my notes in here are like coaching. Like I was like totally ignoring the point of things I was supposed to be studying. And I was like, my team has to hear this. So when Crystal and I were kind of talking about like what you wanted to hear and what maybe how I could help through the end of the year, I was like, okay, I'm going to do this really cool thing on bicycling, but they're not really my ideas. It's from this book called Clip In. So if you're really good at analogies and taking one word and figuring out the other, this is a great book. It's super thin, but this is not like a PD book. Like, don't go buy this and expect to be inspired, because it's like how to shake hands. Does that make sense? Okay. Okay, so I'm going to ask you to we're going to interact a little bit, especially because there isn't 50,000 people on here. And the more you interact, the more that we'll learn. So I'm going to ask you two questions to think about. I need to know what your skills are to be a coach or be a successful coach, what skills you need to have, and what fears you have about coaching. So especially if you're brand new on this call, you're my fear was showing up and now I'm on a Zoom call and people can see me. That was my first fear on my first call. I don't want people to see me on my call. So let's talk about skills as a coach. Obviously your 4 vital behaviors should have popped up immediately. You got to take care of you. You need to use our products. I don't care which one it is. You can use all of the things at the same time, or you can stair step it and start with Energize and then add Shakeology and then add Performance Line and then do a 3-day refresh. But you have to be a product of the product. You have to recognize your wins and your team's wins on social media or on calls like this, which Crystal just did a great job of. You have to invite people, which we'll talk about in a second. That means you're just sharing what you're doing. Guys, I was 240 pounds when I started this in May of 2012. I had run a half marathon to try to lose the weight. And my coach promised me that in 10 days, if I didn't see the value of this, that I could return my challenge pack. And I'm so glad that I took that leap, because I lost 75, almost 80 pounds in 6 months after having struggled for years, working 80 to 100 hours a week and being overweight. So you have to invite. She invited me. I wouldn't be here. I wouldn't have a jawline without my coach, which is nice to have. I wouldn't have my team without my coach. So inviting is important. Posting on social media is important. We're going to talk about the fear part of that in this just a second, but you have to either dig into Instagram or Facebook. And Crystal can tell you, I am Instagram dumb. It takes a whole lot of effort for me to Instagram stuff. I still have to learn. I'm 35. I feel like I'm over I don't know. I just got to do a whole lot of effort to get on Instagram, but it's a skill and I have to learn it. That's just the nature of business. Just like when I started Facebook, when my coach was like, hey, I'm going to have you join this group and you need to, I don't remember what she said, find this Facebook group. And I was like, Kristen, I didn't even know there were groups on Facebook. So then when I actually started to coach and she was like, hey, you need to set up your own group. I'm like, I don't know how to do that. I had no idea. That was me. I'm social media dumb. So that was a skill I had to learn. Some of us have to learn relationship skills. We really suck at relationships. We suck at talking back and forth to people. We suck at listening. We've never had good examples of relationships in our lives. That's a skill that we have to learn. And some of us have to learn our personal fitness, like me. I am no fitness or nutrition specialist. I do it because it's good for me. I still struggle every day with my fitness. But that's a skill you have to learn. So the fears, I'm sure as I was talking about the skills, all of you had these flashbacks of fear, right? Any fears? Inviting always comes up. Fear of judgment. I was a professional. I had been in business for 10 years, and I was worried about judgment from my fellow band directors. Sharing on social media and being open and raw. And again, like I tell my team, I want them to be genuine. I don't want any highlight reel. I want to know the workout was hard. I want to know that the kids were crazy, and I want to know how you got through that. If you have kids, what your family would think. I still struggle with that. It's been 5 years. My family loves and supports me, but that's definitely a fear. Sometimes when I post pictures of them with me, we talk about family freedom. I'm like, okay, I'm a little scared to tag all of you. Exposing your true self. Yeah. So that's my team name. It's Team Genuine. How about fear of success? Some of you are sitting there tonight thinking, I can never do what Crystal does, or I could never be a 5-star team, or I could never be a 2-star team. You're fearful of the work it takes to get there, or what happens when you get there and what happens if you lose it. Y'all, I lost 75 or 80 pounds and then I got pregnant. And if you have kids, you know that weight comes right back on. And second pregnancy, it came on in 4 weeks. Fear of failing or not being good enough, which I'm going to talk about in about 5 minutes. And I hope that you have an aha moment there. Letting people down with challenge groups that aren't fun. Yeah. And Kim, knowing that some people don't go into the challenge group to have fun. They go into the challenge group because they need a checkbox, or they go into the challenge group just because you put them in there. They're like, whatever, I could totally do without a challenge group. Or some of us are like, I live off my challenge groups. So just learning that fear there. Yeah. Okay. So raise your hand if you know how to ride a bike, or at some point in your life, you learned how to ride a bike. Okay. So here's what you already have done. At some point in your life, when you sat on a bike, you learned a skill and overcame a fear at the same time. I'm going to say it again. When you sat on your bike and the bike went forward, at the exact same moment, you overcame fear and you learned a skill at the exact same time. Stop waiting in your coaching business to overcome the fear before you learn the skill. Or in my case, I was a whole lot of learning my skills, hashtag Instagram, before I would get over the fear. But you've already done it, which means at 7:00 tonight, when this call's over, whenever, however long this takes, when you sit down to do your inviting, or you sit down to plan out your personal fitness plan for tomorrow, you sit out to do your social media, you can do it because you've already done it. As human beings, once you've done it, you already know you have it within you. You don't need your upline to do that. You don't need Team Beachbody to do that. You don't need your spouse or your friend or your cat to do that. You already have it within you. Unless your cat knows how to ride a bike, then maybe you should ask your cat. But I think most of us learned how to ride bikes on our own. Okay, so here's another question for you. What makes a bike go? Like what makes the bike go? You're on your bike, you're pedaling, maybe you're like 5 and you got cute. Well, Crystal had unicorn training wheels. We all know that. They were purple and you probably had pom-poms off the side. I totally did that too. I think mine was Barbie though. What makes the bike go? Do we have any scientists on the call? Yes. You pedaling the bike definitely helps. Motorized bikes weren't around 30 years ago for me. How about this? This is what work. Yep, we're getting there. Look, you guys are catching on. I'm telling you, this is so good. It's actually complicated. Yes, momentum, action. You have to go forward so the wheels spin and you don't fall over. Mm-hmm. How about a combination of balance and momentum? Or inertia, centrifugal forces, gravity, and torque. Anybody come up with those like immediately? You know what we get sucked into as coaches? We get sucked into the checklist in the back. We get sucked into learning our social media and all the centrifugal forces and inertia and what a Zoom call is. And you forget that really what makes a bike go is just balance and momentum. And really, when you were 5 years old, you didn't know how to pronounce any of those words, much less know what those meant. You just knew you were going to get on a bike, your dad or your mom was going to let go of the seat, and you were going to die. Like that was what you were thinking. That's all. You were like, this is the end of my life. Why is my dad? Yeah, so you're nodding because all of us have had the same experience. Y'all, that's what happens when you sign up a new coach. They're sitting there like they pushed play or pushed buy, sell, whatever on their challenge pack. They got on the bike and they're like, well, crap. Here goes nothing. I'm going to die. I'm going to fail. This isn't going to work. You're laughing. I told you. This is so true. Okay, so if it's a combination of balance and momentum, I just want to tell you from a 5-year perspective, you will never have both in your coaching business. When my coaching business is super balanced and I am rocking my power hour and my family life is great and my children aren't screaming in the background and everything's all hunky-dory, my momentum is not fast. It's kind of like still when my balance is like perfect. When my momentum is roaring, when we are like rank advancing every week and we have Success Club points coming out the butt and I can't keep up with my messages, my balance is off. I'm not as good as a mom. I'm not present for my husband. We're traveling. Does that make sense? Okay. Those who don't pedal fast enough to keep moving through that momentum while keeping the bike straight fall over. So you have momentum forward. You have to pedal fast enough to keep that going. You don't have to pedal at a rate of like being a top 10 coach. You don't have to pedal at a rate of someone who's a 2-star diamond when you are just at emerald. You just have to pedal enough to keep the momentum going and just constantly know like that there's always a balance. I mean, I don't know a single bicyclist that's like this. There's always give and take. Okay, and this is a quote I love. It's by Francis Willard, and he says, on riding a bike, I finally concluded that all failure, like falling off your bike, was from a wobbling will rather than a wobbling wheel. There's nothing wrong with your bike. There's nothing wrong with you. There is nothing wrong with your team or your upline. There is definitely nothing wrong with our products or what we have to offer or any of our events. That's not what's wrong. It's our wobbling wheel. You have the perfect bicycle. Stop blaming the wheel. I guess I'm in Oklahoma. The wheel. Blame your will. It's a wobbling wheel. It always goes down to belief. Okay, so we're going to go back to that like first time you get on your bike. I don't know, I was probably 5. I don't really remember how old I was. I just remember the experience. You weren't worried about the science. We already talked about that. Like you weren't worried about like what's going to happen when the pedal came up or pedal came down. You were just worried about going forward and not falling over. You were scared. You were unsure. You weren't like, you know that it was like the pedals were going to go, but you didn't know how fast or how slow. Some of you were like going on a flat road. My house was on the top of a hill. So it was like Death Valley. Like there was no, my dad had to teach us how to brake before we could ride our bikes because we would have just like kept going. Also terrifying. What are you thinking when you're sitting on your bike? You're thinking how bad will the fall hurt or how embarrassed you will feel. Guys, your new coaches are thinking the same thing. How bad is this going to hurt? What's going to happen when I fail? And your job as a coach is to reassure them that they're going to fail. They're going to fall. I don't know a single person who gets on a bike and never falls off. Not a single human being. And that says a lot for a lot of human beings in our world. You have to be able to be there at the bottom when they fall off or when they wobble so much that they skin their knee and reassure them that you have fallen too. Give them PD to lift them up. Give them podcasts. Like I had a coach just yesterday. It was like, I can't do this. Can't do this anymore. And so we have to dig deeper into that failure. And then, she wakes up this morning and things are better. But your job as a coach is to be able to do that. With your challengers, they sign up for 2B Mindset and they get these videos. Then all of a sudden it's too hard to watch a 6-minute video, but they can watch 2 hours of The Bachelor. And you have to reassure them that that's a failure on their part because they've invested in themselves. Your job is to show them that they can work through that failure. Then the next time that comes around and they're like, I don't feel like doing XYZ, you can say, well, you've already done that. We already know that the failure doesn't work. Let's work through that. Or how embarrassed will you feel when you fall off your bike? Like, what is the absolute worst thing that can happen in your coaching business? You quit? Like, the absolute worst thing for me would be to quit. What's the embarrassment? I don't care. I don't care. I don't care what you think about me or my business. Like, if I fall off my bike, I'm going to at some point have to get back up and climb back up the hill. Like, if it's not coaching business, it'll be something else because I was born to do more than just sit. So, erase the embarrassment from your social media. Who cares? Who cares? If you get flack for the post and you feel like taking it down eventually, great. But really, no one else is going to pick you back up, put you on that bike. It's your ride. It's your bike. Okay, so you didn't fall. You got on your bike and you went, and it felt great. My dad was behind me, holding my seat, right? Like running alongside. Anybody here have kids? Have you taught them to ride their bikes yet? It's like the most uncomfortable thing in the world to hold on to somebody's butt seat that's 4 feet below your waist and you're like hobbling along the road trying to get them to go, right? Okay, I'm talking to those of you that have a team. Some of you are holding on to the back of your teammate's bike so hard, pushing them down that hill like I did with my 6-year-old. Like, you can do it, you can do it. You don't need training wheels, you can do it. But at some point, you have to let go. At some point, my dad had to let go for me to learn how to ride my bike. And some of you are holding on to those damn emeralds on your team because they are an emerald and you need emerald rank. And you are like holding on to that seat. But the problem is they're never learning how to ride their bike. They know you're behind them. Take the training wheels off and let go. If you don't have a team yet, don't worry about that. But some of you know, like you have people that you got to let go. Because you can't help your team and hold all their bike seats. If you've ever seen a bicycle race, like, can you imagine my 5-star team if I had to hold all their butts? Like, that's not fun. I want them to ride next to me and for us to go, yeah, you're laughing because you're like, I'm totally doing that, especially with those people who have reached emerald rank because some of us struggle with that. We have their goals are more important, or our goals are more important than their goals, but let go of their seat. So you're riding, no one's holding on to you. What do you feel? You're riding your bike. You're 5 years old. Like, yeah, your name isn't on your, you're like next to me on the Zoom, but she's like doing this with her. And like, if I had a fan in my office, my hair would be like blowing back, and you're exhilarated and you're like, I'm never going to die. And I'm riding my bike. And I'm so, okay. What is that free and amazing? What does that feel like as a coach? Like, what points in your business make your hair like go back and you just walk in your office like, that is riding your bike. Those are the moments of your business where you get your first customer, where you get your message from your challenger who fit into her little black dress. For me, it was someone who fit in their black dress to do a conducting concert, because as women, our butts are facing the audience, and fitting into a black dress for that is terrifying. And it is every year, and every concert, every 3 months it comes up. Some of you, that's reaching emerald rank or diamond rank. For some of you, that's your first $100 or your first $1,000 or your first 6-figure year. For me this year, that was definitely watching the team push for 5-star. I could have cared less if we had gotten there, but watching them do that, I was like on the top, I was like on the Titanic, like, oh, the team is behind me and we're doing amazing things. I wasn't worried about balance and momentum. I wasn't worried about falling off. I was just in my groove. And we have to provide places for our team and our challengers and our coaches to feel that exhilaration. Small wins. We talk about small wins, but really it's got to feel good. And if you haven't rank advanced in a while, you got to work a little bit more so you can get to that place if rank advancement felt good to you, then you got to work to get to the next exhilaration point. You got to pedal that way. If earning $100 felt great to you and like making $1,000 feels like you would be, it would fix life itself, then you got to work to get to $1,000. And when you get there, you have to be like, I'm riding my bike. I'm earning my $1,000. Does that make sense? Okay. After you've learned to ride, okay, so we're like not 5 years old anymore. We're on some nice bikes, y'all. We're on some like carbon fiber, triathlete bikes, or some really nice mountain bikes. Okay, so we've made a little bit of an investment. We're not 5, maybe we're like 15. We're 35. You have to learn some finer points with your ride than when you had training wheels. So the first thing you do when you go buy a really expensive bike is they fit it to you. Anybody here have like a really nice bike or have seen a triathlete? They fit it to your frame. So I'm pretty tall for a woman. I'm 5'8". My mom and my sisters are 6'1". So when we go to a bike shop to buy a bike, our bikes are taller women's bikes. My husband is 6'3". His bike would obviously be larger than mine. I want you to hear me on this coaching business. Your bike has to fit you. Stop trying to get on Crystal's bike. Stop trying to get on my bike. Stop trying to get on the top 10 coaches' bikes. They're not your bike. They will never fit you. It will never feel genuine. You will never have the exhilaration of the ride because your legs won't reach, or your handlebars won't reach, or you'll be riding a mountain bike and what you really want is a road bike. The best advice I ever got early on as a coach was to put on my blinders and stop following people who didn't bring me energy, or who like I was finding myself in the comparison trap. And I realized that I was trying to like be even my coach, who I love, obviously. I was like trying to emulate what she was doing, but it wasn't my bike. And I was constantly wobbling and the ride wasn't smooth and it was uncomfortable. It's, you have to buy like bike shorts. Women, it's like super uncomfortable to sit on a road bike for a while. Like some of you forgot to put on shorts. You thought you could be Ashley Molstead and like ride her bike for 18 hours with no padding. And now you're like not only crippled, like you can't like move. You don't want to get back on your bike. You don't want to go back to coaching. You don't want to do the things that we've asked you to do like daily because you literally have chafed yourself to the point where you're like, I'm done. Like, I don't want anything to do with coaching. Yeah, stay in your own lane. For sure. Sorry, I'm trying to like watch as I go through this. Some other things you have to learn is you have to learn how to change the tire, right? Maybe you have popped a tire in your bike. What does changing your tire look like in your coaching business? Sometimes it's reassessing who you are on social media. Like your social media is broken and you realize like the tire pops, you just need to adjust. Sometimes I had to close my team page. We were in like year 3 and it just felt something was off. like the tire had burst and I was like limping on my bike with one bad tire. We closed it. And then a year later went 5-star. Like it was something I needed to learn how to change the tire of my bike. The team isn't going to do that for you. You're a leader. This is your team and your business. It's not mine. It's not your uplines. Again, it's your bike, right? And then this one too, we talked about this at Josh's retreat, and I try to tell my leaders for this too, but if your bike breaks a sprocket, like the inside of the wheel, like or like the chain breaks, or you get in a crash at anybody seen like major bike crashes, their bikes are the carbon fiber like twists. What do you do with that bike? Do you fix it yourself? Do you like literally glue on the sprocket yourself? No, you bring it to a bike shop. You've invested at least $2,000, if not $8,000 in a bike. Like these bikes are really expensive. You're not going to try and fix it yourself. You need an assistant to fix some of that crap yourself. Melanie Mitra said she got an assistant when she went Emerald. You don't have to pay an assistant a whole lot of money, but there are parts of your bike that are broken that you need somebody else to fix. You need somebody else to fix them. I personally don't like setting up challenge groups. I don't like it. I also don't like checking on my customers. I don't know what orders go through in the back office. That I would rather talk to my people and have a personal relationship with them and spend time on Messenger. So my assistant does that. I know coaches who hate inviting and hate following up, but want to spend all their day in challenge groups and in relationships. So their assistants send out 90 invites a day and get them all the way through the process. And then they put them in that coach's challenge group, and then the coach takes over. Whatever sprocket is broken for you or is not working, have somebody else fix it. Hire that help out. Don't try to do it yourself. When you try to make your own graphics and your own, oh my God, there's just so much to this business. Not a single entrepreneur does this by themselves. No single bike rider, professional bike rider does that by themselves. They have a team of people behind them. Lance Armstrong, like how many people did he have? Like 15. They all got in trouble, right? Like there's a team of people helping fix the things that he didn't know how to fix. Make sure you find people that you trust, right? And this leads into, when we went 5-star, I had a bunch of people ask me how we did that. So I wanted to share, this is an actual PD book. Like you should actually read this one. It's called Strengths-Based Selling. And Strengths Finder is like a little personality test. If you buy this book on Amazon, it comes with a personality test with you. But I realized that as I was leading my team, I didn't have to hire out some of the stuff because I had those people in my team already. I had already hired those out, but I didn't know how to use their strengths. So instead of having to have my assistant do some of the stuff, I hired someone who specialized in this. I had her help my team at our team retreat, and every single one of us have different strengths, way different strengths. And what's funny is at the point we had 10 diamonds in the downline, not personally sponsored. It'd be awesome if they were personally sponsored. They're not. But we all had so different, like your relational and your communication and your discipline and your command, that it gave our team something to grab onto when we were needing help, when our gears broke. Like, oh yeah, I remember Nicole's really good at leading. I'm gonna go ask Nicole for that. Or, man, Christy is really good at discipline. I'm struggling with discipline. So they would have people to go to help. They would have shops to take their bike in. That makes sense. So anyway, that's a really good book. It's basically like anybody can have any strengths and sell the crap out of anything and be successful. So this is a really great book. I got on Amazon. Okay, so now the last part of being a professional bike rider is called clipping in. And that's where we step it up a notch. Okay, so you're doing your vital behaviors, you're posting on social media, you're doing everything that Crystal's asking you to do, or your power hour is asking you to do, but you're like missing, you're like at that lid. You're like, I don't know how to get past diamond. I don't know how to get past 2-star. Like you're just stuck. Okay, professional bicyclists do this thing called clipping in. So forever you've been bicycling your bike and you've been pedaling down. Okay, so the only momentum you get from a normal bike is pushing down. When you clip into a bike, you literally have clips on the bottom of your shoe. They look like this. There's like clips. They clip to the bottom of the shoe. And that means that the bicyclist now can also use momentum on the pull. So instead of just using hamstrings, now they're using hamstrings and quads. Does that make sense? So they're getting twice as much for their buck as they did before. which is why most bicyclists have a clip. The clip is pretty permanent. You like slide your foot in and click it. And a lot of bikes now have a cage that goes on top of your, like, you're not going anywhere. When you fall off your little training bike, like, you fall and you're okay. When you fall off a clipped-in bike, it freaking hurts. There are broken bones. There's a hill here at Tulsa called Crybaby Hill that they do during the Tulsa Tough, which is a bike race. And every year it's funny because like it's literally, it's Crybaby Hill. Like, they're crying because it's so hard when they get to the top. And 2 years ago, there was a wreck at the top and hundreds of bikes. Like, it was just like this ripple effect of fallen bikes. So the risk for clipping in is a little bit more than not clipping in. But just like in your coaching business, if you clip in and you take a little bit of a risk, I'm telling you, the reward is so much better. Because when I clipped in my business, when I invested in my team and I spent some time with new training and I closed our team page and I all of a sudden used both muscles, that's when our team took off. Because I made the emotional investment. I made the monetary investment. I made the commitment that we were going to clip in. And this was going to be our year to clip it. It requires a monetary investment for gear. So you're buying your new shoes, you're buying, right? What kind of monetary investment do you need to make, in your coaching business that you haven't made yet? Some of you, that's a ticket to Summit. Some of you, that's hiring an assistant. Some of you, that's going to a retreat or hiring Josh or whatever that is for you. Some of it's like, oh my God, I cannot imagine spending $400 on my business. But I'm telling you, when you clip in a $400, you work for that $400. Crystal doesn't know this, but when we moved up to Oklahoma, I had quit my teaching job and Cohen was like barely one. And I thought about opening a cloth diaper store. I'm super weird that way. And I like natural stuff and I didn't want chemicals on his butt. So we like found a plan. We had a business plan. I had found a space up here that we were going to rent. And, you know, when you have to submit a business plan to the bank, it's pretty intense. And you have to like go through all these numbers of what it was going to take just to start a small mom and pop shop was going to be over $500,000 in investments. And the good news from the bank was, well, you won't make a profit for 5 years, but maybe on year 6, you'll break even. That was the good news. And I was like, if we treated our Beachbody businesses like the banker who sat across from my husband and I going through these numbers, like a $500,000 business, all of y'all would be 10-star diamonds in like 2 weeks. Because that's a big old payment every month that you sign your life away to the bank. And if the store closes, it's on your credit. It's nobody else. It's on you. On Beachbody, you invested at the bare minimum $40, $140, $200, $500,000, $200. So when I say clip in, some of us need to treat our businesses a little bit more like a CEO of a business and a little bit less like, oh, it was only $120. If that makes sense. And actually the reason we told the bank no was because by the time it took us 4 months to get the business plan in, I was already earning $1,000 a month coaching. And I was like, I'm profiting $1,000 a month after 4 months and 6 years, I will break even. Right? So I stuck with coaching. Super glad I stuck with coaching. Okay. When you're clipped in, you are powerful. You are more efficient. You go faster and farther with less effort. I'm going to say that again. You go faster and farther with less effort. When you make the commitment and you make the monetary investment or the emotional investment or I'm going to be here every night for an hour doing my power hour, you will do more with less effort. You will. I don't know what law that is of nature, but I have seen it over and over and over. Like whatever law that is, somebody tell me what it is, but it works. You also have increased momentum. Things that you could consider clipping in or making that investment would be signing up your spouse to go Emerald. That was really scary for us at the beginning. Like he didn't have a job and we had just moved up here and we were considering opening a cloth diaper store. And my coach said, you need to open a spouse account. And I was like, oh my gosh, another $107 a month is a lot of money for our family. That was clipping in for us. That was me making a commitment to our family that I was going to funnel orders through my husband's account and earn an income through volume. Some of your clipping in is going Emerald and earning volume for the first time and seeing where you are in the downline. Some of your clipping in is running your own damn group. You've been stuck in the same challenge group for a year or 2 or 10, and you need to join with another coach and run your own group. Someone needs to let go of your seat and let you fail and let you experience a challenge group on your own. Some of you need to invite 100 people or 1,000 people. Like, some of your clipping in has nothing to do with a monetary investment. You just haven't even sent out an invite yet. Well, now's the time. There's 100 people waiting to hear from you. And I tell this to my team all the time. This is my 6th fall doing this. This is my favorite time of the year because I can really speak to people who want to join my team, who have time to train and have a heart for what we're doing so that they're ready for the holiday rush. The big red flags for me are people who want to join me on December 26th and want to coach. And I'm like, that's great. This will be super easy for you in January, but I want to see your heart when it comes to March when things slow down, or November when things slow down. So this is my favorite time to see, like, I want longevity, I want heart, and I want some hustle. And I can tell you, November is Crybaby Hill. October and November in our business is just, people are busy. I'm a mom. This is like party hell, candy everywhere, cakes and cookies, birthday parties. Like, I don't know what procreation happens, but I feel like October, November, I spend more money on other kids' Christmas or birthday presents than I do any other month of the year. No one wants to commit to a 60-day program right now. Nobody wants to buy a $107 shake when they can go have eggnog on Saturday night. Like, this is just a hard season. But if my coaches hear my belief and they see that in 6 weeks or 2 months, if they can do 21-day program or even a 3-day refresh and have some of that belief, when those people ask what's coming up, when they have $10 free YMCA and $10 gym and buy Weight Watchers for 10, whatever that is, they have seen me and they have seen my coaches show up now. Come December 26th, our faces are in their brains, not some corporate, Jenny Craig commercial. So, yeah, no parties, just meetings with roller derbies and business and weddings and birthday parties. I mean, this is just a busy season. So if you can get to the top of Crybaby Hill with your skills and your clip in, December 26th is going to be like this. It will be exhilarating, and you will have people popping Emerald and Success Club $1 billion coming out of your butt. But you got to get there. You got to do the work to get there, and you have to find the bike that fits you to get there, and you have to stay balanced to get there. Okay, and the last thing, I'm sorry, this is going a little bit long, friend. I haven't talked about endurance a whole lot because by the time you are clipped in, you have abs of steel. You have several outfits of padded shorts that match your shirt. You have 3 or 4 helmets. Like, by the time you have clipped in as a cyclist, people know that you're a cyclist. By the time you've clipped in as a Beachbody coach, I want them to know that I'm a Beachbody coach. I want them to, when their friends talk about them needing to get ready for a wedding, I want them to go, oh, my friend Nicole runs these awesome groups. Or, man, she has 2 kids, her husband works 2 jobs, and she's still able to work an hour a day doing her business. Like, I want that. Just like a cyclist has that aura, you need to have the same. And you have to make sure that you have the frame of mind to say, I'm not just investing in my cyclist for 3 months, or I'm only going to do this until summit, or I'm only going to try this another year. Endurance means that the athlete that starts at the beginning of a marathon knows they have 26 miles to go. I got 26 years to go. Like, you have to be really specific about, if you burn and kill yourself on Crybaby Hill and you fall down and break 2 legs and you're out for the season, you probably should slow down on your momentum a little bit so that you can get to the top, so that you can experience the downhill. I have billions of coaches that start and they like burn themselves out on sending 100 invites and doing all the team calls and watching all the YouTube videos and trying to make their Instagram look like crystals. And they get to like day 9 and they're like, this is not fun. And I don't want to do this. I'm like, well, any serious athlete knows you have to have endurance. Anybody here run marathons or run half marathon? Like you've run significant. Okay. Like, the first mile, you're like, I just want to go. And you're running as fast as you can. You have to like mentally tell yourself, I do not need to run a 7-minute mile when my actual pace is 10. I should probably slow down because I'm not going to make it to mile 13. You won't make it. You will not make it to the end of this business if you burn out on mile 1. And I tell this to our team too. The people that got me to diamond, the people that got me to diamond rank did not get me to 2-star. And the people that got us to 2-star, which by the way was not my spouse account or my second business center, it was actually like real working coaches who no longer are part of our organization. People that got us to 5-star did not get us to 2-star. And you know what? 10 stars on our dream board. I'm telling you, the people that are going to get us to 10-star are not the same people that got us to 5. You have to have endurance and find joy and exhilaration in your business and in your riding your bicycle so that you can have the vision to go longer. Be here in a year is fine. I feel like if you can't commit to 2 or 3 years, we need to chat. Like you need to find something in this that is so deeply ingrained that it doesn't matter if it's Success Club or an income or a retreat for you, that when it's Crybaby Hill and you've fallen, that you can look back and go, it was my fault I fell. I'm going to do Crybaby Hill again next year when I'm in better shape and I'm going to make it down the hill, instead of like tossing in the towel like, 21-day fix didn't work. So this is obviously a scam. I mean, I am not a fit person. But I love our products and I share my journey with our products. What happens if you get to your 12, however many abs you need to take those cute pictures on Instagram and then they go away? Like, have you set yourself up in your endurance and your business to be real and raw and honest with people that this is a journey and it's about health and wellness and not about fitting into a bikini all the time? Or if you recruit a coach who is heavily overweight, anybody know Coach Tulin in our business? She is a rock star. And she gets this question all the time. If you're using Beachbody products every day, how come you haven't lost all the weight? She's like, that's not what this is about for me. She has an endurance mindset. She has an athlete's mindset. She's not running a 7-minute mile right now to make it another 7 years. Make sense? Okay. And the last thing I'm going to close with is it never gets easier. It never gets easier. You just go faster. Riding your bike never got easier. You just went faster. And when riding your bike, you outgrew your bike, you got a bigger one. And if you're an adult and you get a bigger one, or you adjust your handlebars and all those things, it never gets easier. Your Beachbody business will never get easier, but it will go faster. It will. I'm proof of that. Crystal's proof of that. I'm sure you all know people in your teams that are proof of that. So if you don't leave here tonight knowing that you can already ride a bike, you absolutely can coach successfully, then I got nothing else for you. That's all I got, friend.
Thank you. I loved the whole bike analogy. I'm so bad at analogies. So listening to you say that, I was like, oh my God, this is so good.
Yeah.
If anyone has any questions, do you have a couple minutes?
Yes, I have. I mean, can you hear my children?
A little bit.
This is why I have these in, so that I can like try to. Yes. So if you have questions, ask away. I am an open book. Ask away.
Okay. So if anyone has,
I just think you have to remember that.
If anybody has any questions, like feel free to unmute yourself, or you can pop it in the chat. We can connect, Tori, on Instagram. Will you pop that in our Fit Plus Tribe group though? Because the chat goes away after this.
Yeah. I know. I wish Zoom would figure out a way that when we record it, that it would show chat.
Josh has it. Like, I saw Josh has it now on his recordings.
Well, you need to figure out how we can get that, and then everything will be fine.
Yes.
I don't know how to get that. And I pay my Zoom account. I'm sure mine's the paid account. It's not like I have a free Zoom.
Yeah, same here. I don't know. well, if anyone's thinking of questions or anything, I love that you shared that book, Strength-Based Selling. Do you have any other like favorite PD books that have just really stand out to you in your mind?
The Big Leap. It's a picture of a fish and it's like jumping. The Big Leap is good for mindset stuff on like not believing you can get to the next level. Mm-hmm. And really that goes back to the fear of success, you know, like, and the lies that we tell ourselves. Like, I could never be a 5-star coach because you work too hard. I don't work hard. I work 3 hours a day.
Yeah. And
my assistant is only 5 hours a week. So don't you dare come back here and tell me that my assistant works 20 hours a week. She does not. What other books? I mean, I struggle with my food and my fitness still 5 years later. Kind of embarrassing for me to say that. So I love a book called Made to Crave. It is faith-based. And it's about how, I mean, again, you could totally read it and just say third party, but it's about how as humans, we were made to crave something. Mm-hmm. And so when you're craving beer or sugar or the love of another person, like we were made to crave more. And that's okay. So that's been good for like my personal journey.
Okay. That's a good one.
Think and Grow Rich is good. I think it depends on what you're in. No Excuses is good. I feel like No Excuses in November. We have this hashtag No Excuses November, but honest to God, y'all, if there's excuses, it's deeper than that.
Yeah.
If you have excuses, it's like, I'm tired. Okay. Well, yeah, we're all tired. You know, my team listened to a call last night and they were like, yeah, but she doesn't have any kids. And I'm like, okay. So if she's number 30 in the company and you do half of her work and you're only number 60 in the company, would that suck? Like we just tell ourselves these lies, these excuses like, oh, I'll never, like Crystal is so cute and so happy and bright. And I'm like, I will never be that way. But if I fail her by half or 30%, I will bring some of that life into my business and my team. Like it doesn't have to be, I think the excuses thing is kind of a cop out.
Yeah.
Personally.
No.
If you need an assistant, where do you find one? There are 2 places I would recommend. One is word of mouth. Hire somebody who is not in your downline, who has no, like, y'all, my assistant sees like all my income. And she messaged me today about rank, like, hey, are we going to hold 5-star again? Yes. Like she sees everything. So I wouldn't use someone in your downline just because I just wouldn't. There is a company, and Crystal can get you the name of the company, but there's a company that like hires out virtual assistants and they come trained. I have a friend here in Tulsa. Her name is Molly, and her virtual assistant works 2 hours a week, and she used that service. So
I use that service as well. So I can find, it was someone, I forget her name. She was at Josh's event last year. So she has assistants that are trained in our Beachbody business. You don't even have to train them in the online office.
Lindsay, you struggle with food, but you don't worry about it. That's awesome. So I ran, I was 210 pounds. I was so big and I was running every day and it wasn't working for me. Which is cool that in our business, like you probably attract people who love to work out. Do you? Yeah, I don't. My people are like 2B mindset all over the place. They're like, don't have to work out. Sign me up.
Yeah, like most of my followers are fitness related, Beachbody or not. And so and even roller derby. I didn't realize how popular roller derby was, especially in the UK. And I have some followers in the UK that are roller derby or even Germany.
So there's your niche. So you found your bicycle.
Yeah.
Don't try to be me.
It's so true.
Mm-hmm. Don't try to ride my bike. My bike is not the same.
I'm too short. I'm 5'4". I couldn't fit your bike.
Yeah, see? But we so try. We're like, oh my gosh, Ashley Molsted's stories are so great. I'm like, you aren't Ashley Molsted.
Yeah.
Stop.
Mm-mm. No.
I don't know.
Yeah. I loved that tip. I thought that was really good. Just like
adjust it to be you. It's got to be your bike.
Yeah.
Literally no other human on the planet is the same as you. Right. Stop trying to ride somebody else's bike. Now, guys, we have the same tools. Like our wheels are all yellow from Energize and our spokes are all blue from, like, we all have the same tools, but our bikes have to be different. And that's that's the beginning of that failure part for new coaches too, is that they think they have to emulate you as a leader. But it never ends up being emulating. It always ends up being copying, and then it doesn't feel real. And then they feel icky sending invites, and then they feel icky like posting on social media. I'm like, you feel icky because you're riding the wrong bike.
Yeah.
Or you're not telling a story. I mean, part of the power is that we have that story that we tell. Like, don't just post a picture of your sweaty selfie. I want to know if it was tough. I want to know if it was easy. I want to know if you were doing cardio. Do not tell me that it was 21 Day Fix. I don't know what that is.
Yeah.
I didn't know what Shakeology was. I didn't know any of that. I had no idea there were online workouts. No. I had no idea. DVD player, I was like, I had to go buy one to play my Shalene DVDs.
Was that your first program?
It was.
Nice. Turbo.
Shalene Extreme.
Shalene Extreme, nice.
With her go-go boots.
Yes.
And she would say like, oh, you can do 5 push-ups. And I'm like laying on my carpet and I'm like, I cannot do one. I could not do 1 push-up. So that was a big win in our challenge group. I was like, I can do 1.
Nice. That's awesome. I love non-scale victories like that.
Yeah. Turbo Fire. Yeah. I love Turbo Fire, but that was not my first program.
Shalene Extreme.
Mm-hmm.
Cool.
This is probably why I like Lift.
She's what?
This is probably why I like Lift 4, because it's lifting and it's, yeah.
Very similar. Yeah. Like the slower lifting.
Yeah.
Yeah.
There's no nobody yelling at me like, oh my gosh, I'm excited about Sean T's new program, but he's going to yell for 20 minutes at me and I'm not going to be able to do it all. And I would rather look at Joel and have him I wish he just didn't have his shirt on the whole time. Really. Yeah. I'll show up for you at 5 a.m. if you would just take your shirt off.
For real.
I can say that because my husband does the program with me. He totally agrees.
He's just a beautiful human.
He is. He is.
Oh, man. All right. Well, thank you, Nicole. This was amazing. I so loved it. All about the analogy. And just hearing your story was awesome, too. So thank you for just sharing with us all of the amazingness and just sharing your light with us and being here.
Of course. I wouldn't have missed it. I wore my purple for you. I have my purple diamonds and my purple.
I love it. You're so beautiful.
Yeah, no, I try.
And you're popping with the purple.
I know purple lipstick. I need to put on whatever. You got nude lipstick tonight, girl. Sorry.
It's cool. You look beautiful. Awesome. Well, thank you so much. And thank you everyone else for being here. I so loved it. I know I'm going to listen to this again and take even more notes than I already have. And so everyone who gets the recording tomorrow, I'm sure they will love it too. So thank you again.
Just remember, you don't have to have the notes. Just remember, you already at some point in your life overcome the fear of dying on a bike and learn to skill at the same time. You can learn how to do Instagram and be fearful at the same time. #myself. You can learn how to invite and be fearful at the same time. The problem is that we try to separate the two. We try to invite and learn how to invite and then read PD to get over the fear. That's not how you do it. Do it at the same time. Fail forward. Exactly. Fall off your freaking bike, scrape your knees, get back up again.
Exactly. Yeah. I love that you touched on failure because sometimes I feel like it's the thing people don't talk about because they don't want to talk about you are going to fail.
Well, and when is the biggest life lessons for you? Your biggest freaking failures, divorce, children. I mean, oh my gosh, I can't even tell you the amount of failures. And what a disservice we do to our children that we don't let them fail. And then they get to school and they've never failed. And all of a sudden, their friend doesn't like them. They can't handle life. What happens? Those kids turn 14 and then they legit cannot handle life because no one's taught them to fail.
Yeah.
Failures are part of life.
Yeah.
I love it. Fall off your damn bike and get back up.
Yeah. So let's go out there and ride our bikes and fall off our bikes and keep riding our bikes.
Yep. Crybaby Hill in November. Okay, y'all? And I'll see you all in January. We'll be doing the Titanic.
Yes. It'll be amazing.
All right.
Thank you again. Have a good night, everyone. Love you.